started. Miss Kemp,
Sir, hello po. Good afternoon. James, please.
Yan. So good afternoon sa ating lahat. Welcome to this webinar. So to formally start our program, may we call on Ms. Ivy Figuracion, the JSWAP PIO, to lead the opening prayer. And please stand by for the singing of the national anthem.
Okay, let's bow down our heads and feel the presence. Okay, let's bow down our Okay, let's bow down our heads and feel the presence of the Lord. Our gracious Heavenly Father, maraming salamat po sa araw na ito at sa oportunidad po na ito upang magtipon-tipon po kami upang may conduct po namin itong webinar. Maraming salamat din po sa blessings na pinagkakaloob niyo po sa amin sa araw-araw. Lord, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this webinar. Help us engage in meaningful discussions and learnings. And ang lahat ng ito po iniwan ko sa ngalan ni Jesus. Amen.
So a pleasant afternoon to all of us and to our distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is our pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon to our first ever webinar series entitled Gender Responsive Case Management
With women. This webinar is still part of our Women's Month celebration. I am James Leonardo Tomas,
and I am Camp Sarah Lina Belia, your host,
your host for this webinar.
To give us an opening remarks, let us call on the advisor of the Junior Social Worker Association of the Philippines, JSWAP, UCU Chapter, Mr. Gerald A. Aragoza.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to our lovely MCs. And of course, I would like to ask if you have informed all your instructors that you will not be around in your classes, no, for 2 days. And apparently, we appreciate everyone's presence for today's GRCM, no, especially all our learning resource speakers who are here. ISO Ma'am Leonora Muhammad and Ma'am Danica Lopez. Ayan, good afternoon po. Actually, this will gonna be the post-celebration of the World Social Work Day and Women's Month in our department, as mentioned by our MCs. No? And primordially, I would just like to congratulate also in advance, no, the JSWAP for being the head uh, organizer in this endeavor, no, headed by Miss Marian Lorenzo and the committee chair, Miss Mary Joy Corla. The reason why we came up with this DRCM, it's because social workers are engaged with gender issues. Ayan. Meaning, you will be handling gender-related cases, especially when you will be working in LGUs and in women crisis centers. Ayan. And yeah, in the Philippines, this is one of the pressing talks of the town. And being at the ground of social work education, it is, I think, proper time, no, or momentum to kind of as well redirect some of our traditional viewpoints on gender. Yeah. And the process of redirecting our traditional viewpoints on gender is engenderizing our mind, no? Hindi siya endanger, kundi engenderizing our mind. So meaning we will be reoriented with gender trends and in dealing with gender cases. So as learning resource speakers, we will be using the GRCM manual. So you can see this one. We will be using this manual being prepared by the DSWD and the NASWE schools. No? So with that, enjoy our 2-day seminar, webinar. And the third year and fourth year students, ayan, magkikita-kita pa tayo until the last day. No? Since it talks about interventions and case management, and these are required in your level. So MCs, I am now passing the virtual podium. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. So thank you for that wonderful message, Sir Gerald. So hindi na natin ito patatagalin pa, no? Let's proceed to our next part of the program. Ms. Kemp?
Buckle up dahil ito na ang oras upang busugin ang ating mga isipan. Kaya naman, students, makinig at unawaing mabuti ang bawat impormasyon na inyong makakalap. All questions will be acknowledged later after the discussion. Partner, the floor is yours. You may now introduce our first learning resource speaker.
Yes, thank you, partner. No? So our first resource learning speaker is a graduate of bachelor's degree in Science in Social Work at Urdaneta City University, batch 2020. Studied a Bachelor of Elementary Education, major in preschool education in 2013 to 2015 at the Central Luzon State University of Muñoz, Nueva Ecija, and a former secretary of Junior Social Work Association of the Philippines UCU chapter in 2017 to 2018, and a treasurer of a Junior Chamber International Rosales Saga chapter in 2016 to 2017. Attended trainings for the Basic Occupation Safety and Health Training for Safety Officer 1 on March 20, 2022. Safety and Security Training in January 2022. Attended in the National Association for Social Work Education Incorporated, NASWE 49 Biennial Online Convention, Philippine Social Work Education amid the pandemic, challenges, innovation, and trajectories on November 29 to December 3, 2021, and implementing the juvenile justice in the context of COVID-19 pandemic on May 2020. Webinar series on child protection in COVID-19 pandemic online capacity building for social workers and community service provider on May to June 2020, and also attend the community-based psychosocial support training on November 2019. Also, our resource speaker is a faculty of a social work department at University of Urdaneta. Our first learning speaker is no other than Miss Danica May O. Lopez. Ma'am.
So hello everyone. Hello future social workers of Urdaneta City University. Good afternoon. So ayun, today we're going to talk about gender matters. So in this subject matter, we have two parts to discuss. We have gender constructs and gender stratifies. All right. So sex and gender are different concepts. Okay. And sex is biologically determined, while gender is socially constructed. So, in this topic, uh, I will help you. I will help you be equipped with the knowledge on how gender and sex are conceptually different, but operationally linked in our daily lives. Right. So, we will also tackle how the notions of gender shape and inform one's personal identity. That's social location and relationships. Of course, the exercise of power and the lack of it in the family, community, and the society in general. Right? So after this discussion, you are expected to be able to differentiate between sex and gender, acknowledge that gender constructs are learned, fluid, and diverse. Third is that analyze and explain manifestations of gender bias as experienced in the family, community, and the society in general. Fourth is that to locate violence against girls and women as the highest form of discrimination against them. And last but not the least is to commit the use of gender as a perspective and analytic lens in our professional practice. All right. So let's proceed to the part one, gender constructs. So from infancy, we have been socialized into feminine and masculine roles, all right, on how women should act, behave, or how men should act, behave, dress, everything. Okay, what are the functions of men and women? All right. So in this session, you will be able to reflect on who construct and evaluate masculinity and femininity, how masculinity and feminine ideals are internalized, and how going beyond this binary is often frowned upon and sanctioned. All right. So for part one, we have different objectives. We have differentiate between sex and gender, identify how gender roles are defined, valued, and reinforced in the family, community, and the society. Increase awareness on how gender locates people in social life and can lead to power inequities. All right. So, for part one, i-identify natin ano ang pinagkaiba ng sex at gender. Okay. And before I give the definition or the difference between sex and gender, alamin muna natin kung ano yung pagkakaalam ninyo. Alright, so let's start with first topic, sex. So, can you give me an example of biological and physical differences? Sa differences muna tayo, pagkakaiba, when it comes to biological and physical characteristics or attributes ng male and female? Anyone from first year? Biological and physical differences of male and female. First years? Okay. Nandito ba si Esteves? I know you're here. All right. Esteves.
Hello po. Good afternoon po.
Hello.
Okay. As
Ayan.
far as I know, that sex is a sign at birth, right? And then, ano ba ito? What? Kakagising ko lang.
Biological and physical differences. Anong pinagkaiba ng
Okay.
Yes, Jeremy, kaya mo yan.
Yung sex po, yung sa internal siya. Pero yung gender external.
Yes. Ano yung pagkakaiba biological and physically? So, sa sex muna tayo, mamaya na natin pag-usapan yung gender. Okay? For us to define kung ano yung tinatawag nating sex at paano ito naiiba sa gender, ayan. Mag-identify muna tayo ng differences, okay, ng babae at lalaki when we're in the context of biological and physical characteristics or attributes. Anyone who wants to help Jeremy? Gusto ko sa first year muna. Okay. Wait lang. Nasaan ba yung mga estudyante ko from first year?
Hello po.
Yes po.
Ma'am, yung sex po is assigned at birth. Yung girl po may vagina while boy has penis. Tapos yung mga babae po, meron po silang big breast. Although yung mga lalaki medyo malaki din po pero hindi po gaano. Tapos yung lalaki po is ilan sa kanila is hairy. Parang mas hairy po sila kaysa sa mga babae. Yun lang po.
Mas mabalbon daw ang mga lalaki. Alright, thank you. Wait, sino yon? Hindi ko kasi makita lahat. Jumel Mundala. Alright, so,
Po, ma'am.
okay, thank you. Isa lang dapat hihingin ko pero since nagbigay na siya ng dalawa, sige. Thank you, Jumel. How about biological and physical similarities naman? Okay? Ng babae at lalaki. Anyone from second year? Nasaan ang ating mga sophomores? Kanina, differences. Ano naman yung similarities? Yes, Aliyah? You were raising your hand.
Ma'am, ano po? They both grow hair on their private parts po.
Okay. Yes, tama. Aside from that, sino pang gustong magbigay ng example or magbigay ng pagkakatulad ng babae at lalaki? Biologically and physically. Anyone from third year? You can raise your hand para ma-recognize ko kayo. Okay. Meron palang mga nag-message sa group chat. Alright. So, sabi dito, basahin ko yung iba. Kanina sa differences, may Adam's apple ang lalaki. Female has ovaries while male have testes. And muscular daw ang mga lalaki. Aside from that, both have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Wow, someone talked biologically. Talagang tinakil na niya yung chromosomes, which we will discuss later. So, ayun. Pag sinabi nating biological and physical difference or similarities, ito yung physical na attributes ng tao, kung ano yung reproductive organ na meron ka, ano yung mga changes mo during puberty, lahat ito nakapailalim sa tinatawag nating sex. Okay? So, ayaw niya mag-next. Ayan. So, key learning points. Sex, pag sinabi nating sex, ito ay biologically determined. Ibig sabihin nito, it is the physical structure of one's reproductive organs that is used to assign sex at birth. Okay, ito yung kung ano yung nakalagay sa inyong mga birth certificate. Whether you are a male or a female. Okay, kung ano ang reproductive organ na meron ka, ito yung tinatawag natin. Ito yung tinutukoy natin pag sinabi nating sex. Alright? And to know one's sex, the following physical conditions are assayed. So, meron tayong chromosomes, yung sinabi ni, sino na yun kanina? I forgot. Ayun, chromosomes, we have the external genitalia, the internal genitalia, hormonal states, yung secondary sex characteristics. Mamaya tatakil natin yan. So, one's sex then is determined by the sum of all these qualities. Okay, yung chromosomes, genitalia, hormones, lahat yon. Okay? So, obviously, okay, most people fall under one or two separate bell curves. Dalawa lang yon. Pag sinabi nating sex, it's either male ka or female ka. Kasi ito yung biologically determined. Ibig sabihin, ito ka nung pinanganak ka. Okay? So, ayun. Diyan na yun. Next, every person, sabi niya kanina, every person has 23 pairs of chromosomes in each cell. Okay? Saan sila nagkakaiba? Doon sa 23rd pair of chromosome. For female, meron tayong XX, and for male naman, we have X and Y. Okay? Yung Y chromosome, ito yung nagde-determine kung male ka ba or female ka. Pag dalawang X, female. Pag X and Y, male. Okay? So, ito. This is a representation of the biological and physical characteristics ng male and female. Okay? This is the chromosome ng babae. Ito yung chromosome ng lalaki. Okay? For the reproductive system, meron siyang fallopian tube, vagina, egg cell and ovaries. Lalaki naman itong mga ito. Alright? So, nasabi natin na lahat tayo, meron tayong 23 pairs of chromosomes. Ayan. Dito muna. Ayan. Sa lahat ng biological differences ng babae at lalaki, isa dito, for example, ay ang kakayahan ng mga babae na silang ng sanggol, magpadede ng sanggol. So, ayun yung isang ability ng babae when we're talking about biological and physical attributes. So, next, not all people have either XX or XY chromosomes. There can be what we call a certain amount of overlapping. And in some unusual cases, the overlapping is considerable as in certain hermaphrodites. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag natin na hermaphrodites. So, these people, yung mga hermaphrodites, they're often anatomically intersexes as well. Okay? Intersex yung merong, tawag dito, dalawang ari. Alright? So, itong mga taong to, itong mga hermaphrodites, they are often ridiculed because people see them as different. Okay, alam niyo naman, ang society, kapag naiiba ka, okay, nandun yung pangungutya, discrimination and all. So, with that, hermaphrodites people have the right to privacy. Okay, choice nila kung i-disclose nila or hindi. And that is because of the discrimination na pwede nilang maranasan dahil sa kung anong meron sila. Alright, now, dito naman tayo sa gender. So, sabi natin kanina sa sex, it is biologically determined. Ito yung physical and biological attributes, characteristics ng babae at lalaki. So, pag sinabi naman natin gender, ano namang ibig sabihin natin dito? Alright, so first activity para mas maintindihan natin ang gender is the gender in the major life stages. Meron tayong developmental stage na tinatawag. We have infancy, yung 0 to 2 years, childhood, 3 to 7 years, puberty na nangyayari between 8 to 12 years old, teenage years, 13 to 17, and adulthood, yung 18 to 59. Ayan. So, base doon sa inyong mga personal na experiences, reflecting on your own personal experiences, provide examples of the following. Una, ideal qualities of a good girl or boy para dito sa infancy and childhood. Okay, ano sa tingin nyo yung mga good qualities or ideal qualities ng good girl or good boy during infancy and childhood? Anyone? Pwede nyo gamitin yung yung chat box kung may problema tayo sa microphone. So, can someone give me an example of what do you think is the ideal quality of a good girl or a good boy during infancy and childhood? From 4th year. Anyone?
Ma'am,
Yes.
syempre pag infancy and childhood, they should be healthy. Yun yung idea, yung qualities ng good girl and boy.
Okay. Whether regardless of babae or lalaki, you should be healthy. Is that your point?
Ma'am,
Yes po.
ideal po na qualities po ng infancy or childhood. Pag babae, ma'am, or lalaki, expected po na quality po nila, girl magpe-play ng for girls and boy magpe-play po ng boys. And then sometimes, sa experience po namin sa daycare, ini-insist mo po na may color coding, mga pink for girls, blue for boys. Ganun yun ina-expect na qualities po nila na nasa kanila po.
Alright, thank you, Miss Kabanlig. What about during puberty naman? Ano yung mga ideal qualities of a girl or a good girl or a good boy during puberty? So sa puberty, ilang taon nito? 8 to 12 years. Ano naman yung mga qualities ng babae at lalaki during puberty? Anyone? Anong year level pa yung hindi ko natatawag? Balik tayo sa 2nd year. Okay, sabi ni Miss Maria Alia Leonen, nagiging conscious na sila sa mga sinusuot nila. Yes. Ano pa?
Ma'am,
Yes.
Ma'am.
Yes, sino yung dalawang nagtatawag sa akin kanina?
Ma'am, ako po.
ma'am.
Sige po, ikaw muna po.
Sige.
Ma'am, when we say kasi puberty, dito na yung stage kung saan nagkakaroon ng changes ang isang boy and girl. Therefore, yung qualities ng isang good girl and good boys, nagiging aware na sila sa sarili nila kung ano dapat yung mga gagawin nila. For example, yung mga babae is nagkakaroon na sila ng nade-develop na yung breast nila, kaya naging aware na sila na kailangan nila na magsuot ng bra, Mga ganon, ma'am. And yung mga lalaki, nagkakaroon na ng mga balbas. So, para maging presentable, nag-shave na sila. Yun, ma'am.
Ano ko na. Okay. So, thank you. Sige, para mas bilisan na natin, ano. Dito na tayo sa ascribe roles naman during teenage years. Ano
Ma'am.
yung mga, yes.
Ma'am, for me, mas nagiging adaptable na po sila. Parang mulat na po sila sa situations and parang marunong na po silang i-distinguish kung yung mga decisions nila and yung ideas po nila in life. Yun po, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Wala namang maling sagot, ano. This is based on your opinion. What about acts of violence they are subjected? During during adulthood naman, acts of violence na pwede nilang maranasan ng babae at lalaki. Experiencing a greater sense of self and have a self-confidence. Okay, sa ano yun? Sa ascribe roles. Dito naman tayo sa acts of violence. Ano yung mga acts of violence na pwede nilang maranasan during adulthood? Anyone from 4th year or 3rd year?
Discrimination.
Sabi ni Mondala, discrimination, bullying.
Sexual
Ano pa?
keme-keme.
Ano,
Sexual harassment, sexual abuse, cybercams, bugs.
Okay. So, ayun, tama. So, lahat ng binigay ninyong acts of violence, pwede nilang maranasan during adulthood. Sa adulthood lang ba? Pwede nilang maranasan yon? How about sa ibang life stages? During infancy, puberty, teenage years, pwede ba nilang
Possible,
maranasan?
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
possible. Yes, possible.
Okay, so yes, it's possible. So, basically, ano ang gender? So, we have notions on gender. Gender is a socially constructed roles and relationships, personality traits, attitudes, behaviors, values, relative power, and influence that society ascribes to the two sexes on a differential basis. So, gender is socially constructed. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga nabuo na dahil sa paniniwala ng society on ano ba dapat yung roles, yung relationships ng babae, paano ba dapat mag-behave, ano ba dapat yung mga ginagawa, or paano ba dapat gumalaw ang isang babae at lalaki. So, second, expectations that held about characteristics, aptitudes, and likely behaviors of men and women. Ito yung tinatawag nating masculinity or femininity. Right? And third is yung social relations. So, including power relations between men and women. Pasensya na, bibilisan ko na ya kasi marami pa to. Alright. So, gender definitions may be based on stereotypes. Okay? For example, yung oversimplified assumptions natin and ideas kung ano ba dapat yung ginagawa ng babae at ano ba dapat ang ginagawa ng lalaki. Okay, ano yung mga roles na dapat pine-perform ng babae, ano yung dapat pine-perform lang ng mga babae. Okay, so pag sinabi nating gender stereotypes, ito yung mga expected roles on the basis of their sex. Okay, so next slide. Reproductive work. Okay, ito yung mga in-expect ng society sa women. Women's roles are often assigned to the home, which is considered the private sphere. Okay, so these involve activities and tasks that are related to the sustenance of the family, whether physical, social, emotional, or spiritual. So example nito yung pag-nurture ng mga anak, okay? Pagpapalaki ng mga bata, ano pa? Mga gawaing bahay, okay? Pagluluto, paglalaba, paglilinis ng bahay, lahat ito, lahat ng mga ine-expect or mga gawaing pambahay, ito yung mga binibigay sa mga babae. Kasi ito daw yung role ng mga kababaihan. Okay? Next, productive work. Ito naman yung sa mga lalaki. Kung kanina ang women ay more on reproductive work, sustenance of the family, of the home. Ito namang productive work ay sa mga lalaki daw. So, men's roles are assigned not only on the private but also to the public sphere. Okay, pertains to all spaces outside of the home where productive and civic work is done. So, productive work is any activity that leads to the creation or provision of goods and services that have monetary or exchange values. Okay. So, as designated head of the family, yung tatay daw, so the man is socialized into being the primary wage earner. Siya yung nagpro-provide ng pang-araw-araw na gastusin nila. Okay. We have what we call gender agents of socialization. Meron tayong 4, actually 5. We have the family, the schools, the church, the state, and the mass media. So ano yung primary agent of socialization? It is the family. Bakit? Kasi family, it is the basic unit of the society. Okay, dito nangyayari sa family family ang unang nakakasama ng mga bata pag pinapanganak sila, di ba? So, dito nangyayari yung transmission ng values from generation to generation. Also, roles as an agent of social control. Kasi yung mga child rearing values natin, yung pagpapalaki ng mga magulang sa kanilang anak, these practices are gendered. Okay? Kapag babae ka, ganito yung mga nilalaro mo. Ganito yung ibibigay ng mga magulang sa'yo para, tawag dito, yung mga laruan. Nung bata kayo, di ba, gendered na yon. Pag babae ka, most likely, ang ibibigay sa'yo mga Barbie dolls. Kapag lalaki ka, mga baril-barilan, mga cars, ganon. So, next, we have processes of gender socialization in the family. Okay, meron tayong 4. Manipulation, it is the way babies or children are handled. Alright, so sabi dyan, boys are allowed to climb trees. Okay, samantalang ang mga batang babae naman, they are handled gently. Okay, pinakiingat-ingatan. O, hindi ka pwedeng maglaro sa ganito, dito ka lang sa bahay, magbahay-bahayan ka dito. Pag mga lalaki nandun, nagkakarakrus kung saan-saan umakyat sa kung saan-saan puno, di ba? Second is that canalization. People direct children's attention to gender-appropriate objects. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, boys are given toys like cars, guns, balls, and girls are given dolls, kitchen utensils, playhouse. So, meron tayong pangatlo, which is the verbal affiliation. These are the words that we tell the children what they should be. Okay, ito yung mga phrases. So, for example, dito is yung nakikita nyo sa screen, brave boys, or yung sinasabi din nila na boys don't cry. Okay, so wag kang umiyak because boys don't cry. Pretty girls, girls don't climb trees. Ito yung mga verbal affiliation. So, last but not the least is activity exposures. So ano naman ito? These ensure that children are familiarized with gender-appropriate tasks. Okay, so boys are expected to play or work outside the house. Samantalang ang mga batang babae naman are encouraged to help their mothers in household and children tasks. So ito yung tinatawag nating processes of gender socialization. Excuse me. So ayan, the ideological content of socialization is influenced by the system of patriarchy. Ang patriarchy, ito ay form of social organization which grants the father supreme authority in the family, the clan, community, and the society in general. So ayan, gender roles are learned, fluid, and diverse. Paano natin nasabi yan? In an 1918 editorial from Earnshaw's Infants Department, nakalagay doon, in-state doon na a more color pink is a more decided and stronger color. more suitable for a boy. Okay, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. O, di ba? Back in 1918, yan yung tingin nila. Okay? Pag kulay blue, mas bagay siya sa babae. Pag pink, mas bagay siya sa lalaki. That was back 1918. Now, next. Kanina nagtanong ako ano yung mga acts of violence na pwedeng maranasan ng babae at lalaki. Alright, tinanong ko kung adults lang ba ang pwedeng makaranas noon. Sabi nyo, hindi. Pwedeng maranasan ng mga infants, ng mga child. Ano ba, yung mga nag-undergo ng puberty. So, yun. So, violence is a part of the life stages of women from infancy to their senior years. Okay, and according to Anthony Lake, the executive director of UNICEF, he says that violence against children is present in every country and in every culture. Okay, so now let's go to the gender benders. So I will show you pictures of 5 individuals one by one, and then you tell me if that individual in the picture is a male or a female. Okay? So, yan yung first individual. What do you think? Is that individual a male or a female?
Female.
Male.
Model siya, model siya.
Male.
Okay, some says male, some says female.
He's a
Okay,
male.
so let's see. So this person is Andre Pehik, a male Australian Serb model of male and female clothes. So he is a male.
I am correct, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, what about this one? Is this individual male or female? Female.
Female.
Male.
Female. Final answer.
Transsexual.
Okay, tignan
Male
natin.
ata.
Ayan, this is Mayan Bagger, an Australian golfer who was formerly a man and the first transsexual in history to qualify to the Ladies European Tour. Ayan, transsexual siya. Next. Is this individual male or female?
Female.
Female.
Female, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any other answers?
Male?
Female, female.
Female.
I think
Okay, let's see. Final answer. Ayan, tingnan natin. So this person is Castor Semenya, a South African middle distance runner. So she won a gold medal in the 2008 World Youth Commonwealth Games. Shortly after she was required by the International Association of Athletic Federation to undergo gender testing. So the results were not made public out of respect for her privacy. However, the IAAF cleared her, thereby allowing her to compete, allowing her for competition other international competitions. To compete in other international competitions. Sorry, medyo patulog na ako siguro nung ginagawa ko yan. All right, next one. Male or female?
Female.
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 Male.
Male.
Some says male.
Male,
some
male.
Female.
Male.
Female. Sa Ice Queen ng Narnia.
Female.
Female. Okay, this is
Go.
Tilda
Ako
Swinton,
na.
a British female heterosexual and an Oscar award-winning
naman.
actor. Okay. Meron pa ba? Ay, nakita nyo na.
Oh, Kevin Balot. Idol ko yan.
Of course, kilala nyo
Go.
to because this one
Super
is a
Serena.
Filipino. Right. So this one is Kevin Balot, a Filipino transgender who was crowned Miss International Queen back in 2012. So, ayun. Let me ask you, how did you determine whether those in the pictures were male or female. Anong basis ninyo? Paano nyo nasabing male yung tao? Paano nyo nasabing female?
Kapag mahaba po yung buhok.
Pag mahaba yung buhok, babae?
Yes, ma'am.
Yung Adam's apple po. May
Adam's apple. Sabi ni Trisha, yung facial features daw. Ano pa?
Muscle mass, ma'am.
Muscle mask. Okay. So how did you feel when you found out na yung mga sagot ninyo ay tama? Or anong naramdaman nyo nung mali yung sagot nyo?
Happy, ma'am.
Masaya kayo na tama. Ano yung tawag dito? Nagulat ba kayo? Paano yung gulat nyo? Patingin ako. Well, anyway, so ayun, what did you learn from this activity? Itong identifying kung babae man o lalaki yung pinakita kong pictures. Since merong mga maling sagot. Ano ang learning insight ninyo dito sa activity na to?
Ma'am, wag lang pong mag-base sa physical features po ng isang tao.
Wag mag-base sa physical features. Okay, ano pa? Ano pa?
Bawal judgmental. Char.
Bawal judgmental. Okay. So we can never tell kung babae man o lalaki yung isang tao just by their physical or just by their gender expression. Okay. Next. Ay. Nasaan na tayo? Na-cut. Na-move. Ayan. So, nakikita ba? Ayan. So, gender definitions shape our ideas of how girls or women and boys and men should look like. Okay? If the latter do not conform to what we have been made to believe, okay, kung hindi sila sumusunod sa kung ano man yung kinagisnan natin on how we define gender, okay, yung mga attitudes or mode of relating with them, nagbabago din. Okay? So next, gender identity. Gender identity is about the ways in which individuals define themselves. Okay, dito na nalilito yung ibang estudyante ko. When we say gender identity, it is how you identify yourself. Okay? Kung ipinanganak ka man na male and you identify yourself as a woman, okay? Pag sinabi nating gender identity, it is your choice. Okay? So choice mo ang gender identity mo. Gender diversity. Gender diversity refers to the different ways that people have preferences and self-expressions that are outside the conventional gender norms for males and females. Okay, ito yung pag sinabi nating gender is diverse, hindi lang ito limited doon sa tinatawag nating binary. Hindi lang ito babae, hindi lang ito lalaki. Gender is diverse. Okay? So, included in this diverse gender spectrum ay yung mga tinatawag nating gender benders. Yung mga pinakita ko kaninang pictures, those people are gender benders. Okay? Kasi hindi mo ina-expect, akala mo babae, male pala. Akala mo male, female pala, transsexual pala, diba? So, ayun. They are people who view gender as constructed socio-culturally. So that can be turned off or turned on. Sila yung mga naniniwala na ang gender ay hindi lamang nalilimitahan sa pagiging babae o lalaki. So sabi dito, someone who bends gender might wear baggy pants and be standing one day and crack out heels or a corset the next day. People can bend gender in many ways and contexts. And because of this, people who are of any gender or sexual orientation can be gender benders. Okay? Hindi porket gender bender ka, hindi ka na straight. Okay? Anong bottom line dito? Regardless of gender identity, okay, regardless of how you identify yourself, everyone has inherent worth and dignity and fundamental human rights. And with that, all should be treated with respect. Okay? Regardless kung ano ang gender preferences niya, on how that person expresses his or her gender, we all deserve respect and we should treat everyone with respect. Okay, so dito na tayo sa part 2. Sandali na lang ito. Gender stratifies. Okay, so gender, like age, social class, or ethnicity, is a social stratifier. Okay, dito, we are going to talk about how gender constructs can stereotype and stratify people, putting males on the pedestal and privileging them in both private and public spheres, and subordinating the value and interest of girls and women. So, meron na naman tayong objective dito. Describe how gender roles and stereotypes locate the feminine vis-a-vis and the masculine in the private and public spheres. Second is to recognize gender stereotypes. Third, increase awareness on how gender biases in the home, community, and society. And last but not the least is to commit to work for gender equality. So, ayan. The following are specific category where gender stereotypes exist. Okay, meron tayong gender stereotypes sa physical characteristics, psychological characteristics, sexual characteristics, and socio-economic characteristics. So, anong gagawin ninyo? Match the following categories of where gender stereotypes exist to the statements provided dito. Okay, so which among these 4 statements fall under physical characteristics? Alin dito sa 4 na to ang magfo-fall sa physical characteristics? Anyone?
Letter D.
D, ma'am.
D po. Letter D.
Okay, pag sinabi nating physical characteristics, example nito are, men are strong, women are weak. Okay, tingnan natin mamaya. How about under the category of physical characteristics, psychological characteristics? Alin dito sa 4?
Letter A po. Letter A po.
Women are emotional and men are logical. Paano naman dito sa letter C? Sexual characteristics.
Letter C po.
B.
B.
Ma'am. Men are the head of the family and the mother holds the family together.
Ayan. Diyan na kayo nalito. Okay,
Letter
tingnan
C po.
natin mamaya. So,
Letter C po.
ibang sagot.
Letter C po, ma'am.
Letter C.
Okay, ayan. So, tama tayo doon. No? Physical characteristics, men are strong, women are weak. Example naman ng psychological characteristics, women are emotional and men are logical. Sa sexual characteristics naman, men are pursuers. Sila daw yung nagpo-pursue at mga babae ang pino-pursue. Ito yung mga gender stereotypes ha. I'm not saying na ito dapat yung sundin natin. These are just examples of gender stereotypes. So sa letter D, socioeconomic characteristics, it's letter B. So men are the head of the family, mother holds the family together. Siya yung in charge sa pamilya. Okay. So ano nga ba ang gender stereotype? A gender stereotype is an overgeneralized belief in the characteristics of a person based simply on their gender. Okay, dito pumapasok yung mga expectations, ascribe roles. Kapag babae ka, ano yung ability mo? Ano yung characteristics mo? Nalilimitahan ito because of gender stereotypes, existing stereotypes. Okay? It is a rigidly held and oversimplified belief that all males and females possess distinct psychological and behavioral traits. Okay. Another one is that gender stereotypes reflect how males and females are valued in the society. Okay, kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng stratification kasi itong mga gender stereotypes dito nagre-reflect kung paano i-value kung paano bigyang halaga ng society ang mga kababaihan at mga kalalakihan. Alright, and often, men's gender roles and characteristics, even in stereotypes, are given more importance and status. Okay, so gender as a stratifier leads to unequal access of males and females to opportunities, income, wealth, and privileges, with males enjoying greater access than females. Ito yung long-standing tawag dito, fight ng mga kababaihan. Alright. So we have discrimination against women as defined under the Article 1 Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW. Any distinction, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of sex which has the effect or purpose of impairing or nullifying the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise by women, irrespective of their marital status on a basis of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or any other field. Okay, ano naman yung tinatawag nating gender-based violence? So pag sinabi natin gender-based violence as defined under the General Recommendation on Committee on CEDAW, it is a form of discrimination against women. It is violence that is directed against a woman because she is a woman, okay? Or that affects women disproportionately. So includes acts that inflict physical, mental, or sexual harm or suffering. Threats of such acts, coercion, and other deprivations of liberty. So ito yung sinasabi ko na nalilimit lang yung ability and capability ng mga kababaihan because of stereotypes. Okay? So, kasama dito yung gender, educational attainment, ability, disability, yung age bracket, ethnicity, race, social class. Okay? Dahil dito sa mga gender stratification, ayan, nalilimit yung mga opportunities. Okay. So, ito, last topic na, gender gaps, poem reading. So, ang nakikita nyo sa screen ay excerpts from the poem written in 1973 by Nancy Smith. Ito yung original. Okay, so for every woman who is tired of having to fake weakness, although she is strong, there is a man who is tired of having to appear strong. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin niyan? I-compare and contrast natin dito sa kabila. For every woman who is tired of having to fake weakness, although she is strong, there is a man who enjoys protecting her in exchange for her submission. Ano ang napapansin niyo sa dalawang statement? Next, for every woman who is tired of having to act as if she was silly, there is a man who is overwhelmed by having to pretend he knows everything. And sa alternative text naman, for every woman who is tired of having to act as if she was silly, there is a man who pretends to know everything because this gives him power. Okay? Tapos sa dulo, for every woman who is tired of being qualified as an emotional female, there is a man whom it has been denied the right to cry and be vulnerable. Sa kabila, for every woman who is tired of being qualified as an emotional female, there is a man who appears as strong and cold in order to maintain his privileges. So ano yung napansin nyo dyan sa dalawa? Anong hina-highlight dito? Dito muna tayo. Anong hina-highlight dito? You can make use of the chat box kung may problema tayo sa mic. Anong napansin nyo dito? Anong hina-highlight ng original poem? Anyone?
Ma'am, yung sa ano po?
Yes, Miss Maylene, tama ba?
Yes po. So for the 1973 poem, ang hina-highlight niya is yung strength ng man, tsaka yung weaknesses ng women. Wherein sa yung alternative text naman po, hina-highlight niya yung yung ini-empower niya yung women. Wherein parang yung men ay ginamit niya yung parang tawag nito. Parang ginagamit lang ng men yung women para mas maging tawag nito, mas maging powerful ganon. Parang
Okay.
submissive yung women, yung sa men naman hindi. Parang may mas power siya over the women.
Okay, good observation. Thank you, Miss Maylene. Ano pa? Ano pang napansin ninyo? Nasaan ang mga second year?
The woman seems like she's insecure.
Saan po dito? Yung kay Nancy Smith or yung alternative text?
Kay Nancy Smith, ma'am.
Okay. Kay Nancy Smith, secured daw yung babae. Okay, someone's raising their hand.
Insecure yung babae.
Secure. Sorry. Kamat.
Ma'am, doon po sa For Every Woman, 1973, it's like parang yung catalog niya, ma'am, is enough for feminine na complete siya. Then doon sa For Every Woman, There's a Man, it's like a competence, ma'am, para lang ma-prove ng lalaki na he is masculine, ma'am. Parang parang nag-discriminate na siya doon.
Okay. Sige. Thank you, Miss Kamat. Yes, President Marian? Tataas ka ng kamay.
For me po, yes ma'am. Yung sa For Every Woman ni Nancy Smith ng 1973, I think dito po yung contrast sa stereotypes between sa kailangan na ipakita ng ng man at woman sa society. Sinasabi niya po kasi na kahit po yung woman is capable, nagpre-pretend siya na weak siya kasi yun yung ina-expect sa kanya ng society. Ganun din po sa man na nag-appear strong even if hindi naman yun talaga siya. Pero kasi yun yung inaasahan sa kanila ng society, yun yung dapat makita sa kanila ng society. And sa alternative text naman po, doon po pinapakita yung perks na nai-enjoy ng mga men sa pagiging weak ng women sa mata ng society. Syempre kung may weak, kung may inferior, may superior, which is yun po yung nangyayari sa mga men, naging superior sila kasi sa tingin ng society, inferior yung mga weak.
Okay, thank you, Miss Marian. So, tama kung mapapansin nyo, dito sa dito For Every Woman, written by Smith in 1973, ang in-indicate niya dito is how both men and women are being disadvantaged. Okay? Or mayroong disadvantage both ang babae at mga kalalakihan. Okay? Disadvantage caused by gender expectations, gender roles. Okay? Kasi kapag lalaki ka, you have to appear strong. Okay? Pag babae ka, you have to fake your weakness. Kahit malakas ka, just because that is how the society expect you to be. Okay? Dito naman sa kabila, ang pinapakita nito, ang hina-highlight ng alternative text na to ay yung power inequality between men and women. Okay? Ito yung absent dito sa isa. Okay? Kasi ang pinapakita nito yung struggle ng mga kababaihan for gender equality. So, ayun. Ayan. So, according to the Oxfam International provides the following global data. Okay, so for education, girls comprise 2/3 of all children who are denied access to education. Imagine, 2/3 doon sa mga na-denied, mga babae. Work naman, women do 2/3 of the world's working hours but earn only 10% of its income. Ito yung mga existing na tawag dito. Pa-mute ako para ano. So, sa welfare naman, domestic violence is considered to be the biggest cause of injury and death to women globally. Sa democracy, only 14% of the world's governmental seats are held by women. So, mas marami pa rin ang nakapabor sa mga kalalakihan. Ayan. So, before we end our discussion, with everything that has been discussed, let me ask you, do you think gender is a choice? Is gender a choice or not? Anyone? Ito, tanungin ko na kayo from first year to fourth year.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes
Why?
po.
Let's hear it from Jeremy of first year.
Well, gender is a choice for me. Isn't your responsibility to come out to everyone? Why don't you just let people come in instead of coming out? Yes po, yun lang po.
Okay, thank you. How about from second year? Any representative? Is gender a choice? Second years? Nasaan ang ating mga second year?
Ma'am, good afternoon po, ma'am.
Yes, Miss Kizon.
Yes po yung sagot ko, ma'am. Kasi every individual, we have freedom kung ano yung pipiliin po natin. So yung choices natin is nasa sa atin. So yes po yung sagot ko.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear it from third year. Third years? Sino na yung sumagot sa akin kanina? Si Miss Marian.
Ayan. Yes, ma'am. I do think na gender is a choice kasi siguro po ngayon, sa panahon natin ngayon is we can choose po kung ano yung magiging gender identity natin and expression in spite of sa mga discrimination na nakikita po natin and nararanasan. Pero yun po, I think po ano talaga siya. Gender is a choice and a right. Yun po.
Okay, so gender is a choice and gender is your right as an individual. Okay, thank you, Miss Marian. Fourth years. Nasaan ang ating mga fourth year? Ang ating mga ate? Anyone from fourth year? Yes po, gender is a choice. Fourth years, nasaan na kayo? Yes po, gender is a choice, sabi ni Miss Maria Alia Leonen. Bakit? So I wanna hear your reason bakit choice ang gender? Paano naging choice ang gender?
Yes po. Hindi niya kasi sinabi kung
Yes, Miss Leia Etrata. Nag-mute na siya. Ayan. So, gender is a choice because ito yung kung paano mo na i-identify yung sarili mo. Okay. Kanina, pag sinabi nating sex, it is biologically determined. Ibig sabihin, wala ka nang magagawa. Ipinanganak ka na ito ang meron ka, so wala ka ng choice. Diba? Pero kapag sinabi nating gender, you have the right to choose or to identify kung ano ang gender mo. Okay, how do you identify yourself? Choice mo na yon. How do you express yourself through your gender expression? Choice mo na yon. Okay, kanino ka na-attract? Choice mo na yon. Everything about gender is a choice. So, regardless of gender identity, everyone has inherent worth and dignity. Yes, nasabi na natin yan kanina. So, yun yung bottom line dito. Regardless kung ano man yung gender identity niya, gender expression niya, kung paano niya ipakita or i-express ang sarili niya, everyone has inherent worth and dignity. So, lahat dapat nire-respeto natin. Okay? So, nasan na? Ayun. That's it. So, I hope you enjoyed our discussion and you learned something from it. Nasaan na yun? Hindi ko na makita. Alright, so, ayun. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
So ayan, thank you po Ma'am Danica for sharing us your knowledge, and maraming salamat. Natuto po talaga kami ng marami. So isa sa mga sinabi ni Ma'am kanina is gender is socially constructed, and socially constructed, learned, fluid, and diverse, while sex naman is assigned birth that can not only be limited to men and male and female, because there are people who are hermaphrodites. Nonetheless, all humans, despite of their sex, gender stereotypes, we all have the rights to privacy. So, yan, thank you ulit, ma'am. So, syempre hindi na natin ito patatagalin pa, no? Ayan na. It is now time to proceed to the next learning resource speaker for today's video. Ayan, partner, pakilala mo na si ma'am.
Yes, partner. Our second learning resource speaker is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Social Work at St. Louis University, Baguio City. She also passed licensure examination for social workers held in Manila on year 1999. After that, she became a community development social worker for a non-profit non-government organization, St. Benedict Foundation for Children and Aging Incorporation located at Agoola, La Union, on year 1999 to 2001. She also became an administrative assistant at Philippine AXA Life Insurance, Baguio City on year 2001 to 2002, and legal assistant with Lim and Associates law firm located at Upper Session Road, Baguio City on year 2003 to 2004. On year 2004 to 2005, she became a medical social worker at Notre Dame Hospital located in Baguio City. In addition, she is also a graduate of Juris Doctor at University of Baguio on year 2006 and became legal researcher and legal assistant for Pungon Mineral Trading Incorporation located in Manila on year 2005 to 2006. She also served as a customer service representative for DirecTV under Convergys Philippines located in Commonwealth Avenue, Quezon City, primarily providing technical support to American market or clientele, and became a consumer quality assurance specialist in one of the most prestigious and globally competitive corporate banking and finance industry, Citibank, located in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. And now, she is a faculty of the Urdaneta City University Social Work Department. Let us all welcome Mrs. Maria Leonora Bustria Muhammad, a registered social worker and Juris Doctor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So, stretching lang muna tayo ng konti. Taas kamay and stretch lang tayo ng konti, okay? So, I can...
Hello po, Ma'am Le.
Hello. So, thank you very much, Ms. Kemp, for that introduction. Okay? So, gaya nga ng sinabi ni Ms. Danica kanina, okay? So, marami tayong napulot at napag-aralan sa lecture ni Ms. Danica. So, now it's my turn naman to share to you the knowledge on. So, we are still, so kahit tapos na yung March, we still continue to celebrate the Women's Month. Okay, so thank you, JSWAP, for inviting us to be your resource speaker. So after the Miss Danica, now it's my turn. So we are still on gender responsive case management with women. So basically, ang goal ng webinar na ito is para mapalalim at lawak pa ang inyong understanding and kaalaman. Okay, when it comes to gender responsive case management, lalong-lalo na sa mga kababaihan. All right, but in this subject matter, we don't exclude yung ating mga males naman and also the our members of the LGBTQA+ community. But since we are celebrating Women's Month, our focus is on women. But my topic now is on gender fair language. Okay, so start ko lang yung aking pag-screen share ng aking screen. Okay, let me know ha. For a while lang ha. Minimize ko lang yung aking screen. Patulong na lang po ako na gawin ko siyang slideshow. Alright, I found it. Alright. Kita na ba? Alright. Okay, so gaya nga ng nabanggit ko kanina, okay, I'll be talking about gender fair language. And as I said earlier, gender fair language, it doesn't exclude anybody, okay? So we will briefly discuss about gender sensitive language. So gaya ng sinabi ni Sir Jay kanina, okay, we are using a guided manual in order for each and everyone to nurture yung ating kaalaman sa gender sensitivity and gender awareness. All right? So tayo bilang social workers, okay, primarily we deal with a lot of individuals in our line of work. So saan mang field tayo mapunta, all right, we need to understand the kind of language and the kind of sensitivity that we need to use while we are on field. Okay, so bakit nga ba natin kailangang pag-aralan ito? Okay, so we as change agents, all right, kailangan nating maging aware. Tayo yung unang-unang mga tao, or tayo dapat yung pinakaunang maging sensitive kasi mga social workers tayo. So in our profession and also as individuals, so we personally need to understand what are gender sensitive languages. Okay? So the objective of discussing to you this subject matter today is to explain how gender bias in language can reinforce gender stereotypes, gender inequalities, and marginalization. So kanina na-mention na ni Ms. Danica kung ano nga ba ang gender stereotypes at ano rin ang gender inequalities. Okay? And another objective for this lecture is in order for each and every one of you to be able to use gender fair and empowering language in their oral and written communication, including the language of resistance. Okay, sa ating mga social workers, hindi na bago ang paggawa ng documents. Okay, so ang written communications na tinutukoy natin dito, especially referring to our written communications, ay yung ating mga case studies, right? Yung ating mga interviews, yung pag-conduct natin ng interviews, the way we talk to our clients, the way we talk to different individuals, mapa-individual man yan, mapa-group man yan, or mapa-community man yan. And the purpose of this lecture is for each and every one of you, right, to empower, okay, yung language, yung sensitivity ng gender sensitive languages, alright? Lalong-lalo na kapag may mga kausap tayo, kapag kausap natin yung mga clients natin. So we really need to be sensitive enough. So magkakaroon ako mamaya ng mga examples kung anong klase yung mga languages na ito or mga terminologies na akala natin normal lang siya, but it causes gender bias or discrimination or some sort of inequality. All right? So how important is language in countering gender bias? Gaano nga ba ka-importante ang language para malabanan natin or maiwasan natin ang gender bias? Alright? So I am quoting United Nations or referring to the gender sensitive language that nung ginawa nila yung guidelines, okay, for gender sensitive language to be utilized in different companies, in different corporations. So ang United Nations ay naging isa or sila yung primarily na naging tulay para ma-acknowledge ng iba't ibang bansa ang gender sensitive language. So for language does not only reflects the way writers think, it also shapes the thinking of listeners, readers, and influences their behavior. Okay, so ito na yung sumasagot dun sa katanungan ko kanina. Paano natin, okay, malalabanan ng gender bias? Okay, paano natin maiiwasan? Paano natin matatanggal if possible? Word choices often carry unconscious assumptions about gender roles. So please take note of that. Word choices often carry unconscious assumptions about gender roles. Ito na yung sinasabi ko na akala natin normal lang siya. We usually hear it. Usually ginagamit yan during our conversations with each other. Akala natin it's normal, but yung choice of words natin nakakasakit na pala para sa iba. Alright? And the use of terms only referring to males, according to the United Nations, is not accepted anymore, okay, as excluding women is considered an offense. Language should therefore be used with a high degree of precision. Alright? So along the way, okay, malalaman ninyo kung ano ba dapat yung mga terminologies na kailangan nating gamitin. So lalong-lalo na sa language, I mean sa English language or sa English dialect, napakarami nating pronouns na maaari nating magamit to replace the existing terminologies that are causing gender biases. All right? Next is ang language, okay? So in order for us to avoid discrimination between and women, usually kasi discrimination would start with the language, okay? So dyan ninyo makikita yung impact kung paano tayo naaapektuhan ng language. And as the systematic use of gender biased terminology, it influences the attitudes, the expectations, and could, in the mind of the reader, relegate women to the background or helping extending the survival of a stereotype view of masculine and feminine roles. Okay, so gaya ng mention ni Miss Danica kanina, alright, napakarami nating klase ng stereotyping that would impose or nagpapakita ng masculine and feminine roles ng bawat individual sa ating society. Okay, I'm quoting Oliver Wendell Holmes na sinasabi niya that language is the blood of the soul into which thoughts run and out of which they grow. Okay, so kung iisipin nating mabuti, sinabi niya language is the blood of the soul. Okay, onto which thoughts run and out of which they grow. Okay, so ibig sabihin, through these particular languages, napakaraming pwedeng mag-sprout from there. It can create negativity, it can create positivity, it can cause social functioning, it can also cause social dysfunctioning. Okay? Language, furthermore, okay, language shapes and reflects the way we think, the way we act, and relate vis-a-vis with other people. Okay, so sa pamamagitan ng ating pakikipag-usap or through our communication through with each other, okay, dito nagre-reflect sa languages natin, nagre-reflect kung ano yung iniisip natin, kung ano yung ginagawa natin, and kung paano tayo makisalamuha sa ibang tao. Language can also reinforce gender stereotypes and inequalities in social relation, including the exercise of power. Alright, so kanina, nabanggit na rin ni Miss Danica, okay, na meron yung mga instances na ang mga kalalakihan, they are actually exercising power over the females, using, okay, they can use words that empowers them lang. So that would show the masculinity empowering or overshadowing the females. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful on the usage of these particular languages or terminologies. So, paano nga ba, okay, pumapasok ang sexism in languages? Okay, sexism comes in when the words or the phrases or sentences or expressions that demeans males and females, excuse me. Or these words, these phrases or sentences put them down, so emotionally or mentally. It renders them invisible. Okay, females are assumed to be males until they prove themselves to be females or they stereotype them. Okay, so dyan na pumapasok ang sexism sa language. Right, so pag sinabi mong demean males and females, pag sinabi nyong these kinds of words or phrases, they kind of put them down. So parang, for example, you use the words, usapang pang babae lang yan. Okay, so you're assuming and denoting that itong usapan na ito, babae lang ang nakakaalam. So what about the males? Or sometimes usapang lalaki lang yan. Okay, so pagtuunan natin, okay, na sabihin nila, ang usapang ito ay pang lalaki lang. Okay, so they are already excluding them. Okay, bakla ang point of view niya dyan kapag yan ang tinanong mo. Okay, so it's implying that that particular person doesn't have any kind of strength to stand on his own belief or sa kanyang sariling prinsipyo. So some terminologies or yung mga ginagamit nating languages on our day-to-day activities might cause some form of sexism, lalong-lalo na in the workplaces. But not only in the workplaces, you can find sexism in schools, in universities, in offices. Okay. All right. Furthermore, okay, these words, these phrases, these sentences, this kind of languages, they portray females as passive objects rather than active subjects or agents. And this particular languages, these words, itong terminologies na ginagamit nila, they commodify females. So, gine-generalize nila, lahat ng babae ay ganito. Okay? So, if they portray females as passive objects rather than active subjects, okay? So, para sa kanilang mga babae lang ay pambahay. Okay? So they're already judging the females na wala silang capability to be competent, wala silang capability to do things on their own. All right? So they don't see them as someone who can be a contributor to a success of something bigger than them. All right, so I'm quoting Attorney Rowena Guanzon, all right, regarding the usage of gender bias language. Okay, so Philippine jurisprudence is replete with gender stereotypes pertinent to cases of gender violence. Okay, so according to Attorney Rowena Guanzon, okay, pati sa Philippine jurisprudence natin, sa mga pag-describe or pag-sulat nila ng mga legal documents, merong gender stereotyping na nangyayari. Okay, so katulad nito, for example, okay, in her article entitled Engendering the Philippine Judiciary. So she is talking about the Philippine judiciary settings here. Okay, in rape cases, all right, the frequently used stereotypes of Filipino women used by the courts are, so please take note ha, Philippine courts are using these languages: Barrio Las, Provincial Las, Decent Filipina, and Maria Clara. Okay, so these images of a chaste, virginal, innocent, and timid Filipino women are used in weighing the woman's credibility in rape cases. So we are talking about rape cases. So tinutukoy nila yung mga victims ng rape, okay, like using this kind of terminologies. And then let's proceed. Okay, so this, okay, babasahin ko lang ha. In rape cases, the frequently used stereotypes of Filipino women used by the courts are Barrio Las, Provincial Las, Decent Filipina, and Maria Clara. So these images of a chaste, virginal, innocent, and timid Filipino women used in weighing the women's credibility in rape cases have been used by the trial courts, repeating the Supreme Court's invocation of the same since August 18, 1972 in the case of People versus Gan. The Supreme Court has been using the Maria Clara standard since 1982. And it has been invoked in 4 rape cases from 1980 until 2004. Similarly, the phrase Barrio Las, referring to poor village women who had little education and lacked exposure to the ways of the world or the city. So itong terminologies na ito or itong phrase na ito, it was used in the judgment of several rape cases from 1901 to 2004. To be exact, 143 cases. Okay, so ginamit nila itong phrases na ito, alright, referring to the women, to the victims of rape case sa 143 na cases. So imagine the victim survivor trying to remember, okay, recount kung ano yung nangyari sa kanya during the hearing of the case. Okay, so kung ilang beses niyang kailangang isipin ulit at ikwento yung masamang nangyari sa kanya, and hanggang sa documentation, hanggang sa mga communication, hanggang sa court decision, okay, they will still feel abused. Okay, so kumbaga yung character nila, yung character reference nila, ito yung mga ginagamit nila. It's being used to refer to these victims in rape cases. So what is our learning point? So bakit natin pinag-uusapan ito? As social workers, okay, tayo yung mga isa sa mga focal points kapag mayroong mga rape victim cases o kaya violence against women cases. Okay? So we are the ones who would be trying to eradicate this kind of gender biases, lalong-lalo na sa mga kababaihan na na-experience nila ang maabuso, ma-rape. And we are trying to learn this in order for us to, kumbaga, kailangan nating bigyang importansya ang respect for the inherent dignity, worth, and rights of all people. So we try to understand and instill in ourselves these principles. Bakit natin kailangang pag-uusapan ang gender-sensitive language or gender-fair language? Okay? So, number one, kailangan nating respeto. Okay? We need the respect for the inherent dignity, worth, and rights of all people. Lalong-lalo na sa ating mga social workers, di ba? Because we are actually guardians of the welfare. Sa ang social welfare, tayo ay isa tayo sa mga nangungunang guardians to promote inherent dignity, worth, and rights ng mga tao. Okay? Then inclusiveness. We don't exclude anybody. So we embrace all genders. Okay? So sa ating mga pangungusap, sa ating mga komunikasyon, sa ating pakikihalubilo, all right? The kinds of words that we use should always be inclusive and should never be exclusive. And next is gender equality. So kanina medyo na-tackle nyo na rin ang gender equality. So definitely you know what I am talking about. So gender equality, okay, walang mas mataas na gender. Okay? Women are not in competition with men. Please take note of that. When we talk about gender equality, when women are fighting gender equality, I always tell my students sa Gender and Society na kapag ang pinag-uusapan natin is women empowerment and women fighting for gender equality, women are not actually fighting over kung sino ang mas magaling, kung sino yung mas superior. Women just wanted to be acknowledged that and respected, lalong-lalo na yung word na respected, that they wanted themselves to be seen as competent as the male. Ganun din yung mga members natin sa LGBTQ+ community. If they are asking or if they are shouting out for gender equality, they are not asking for them to be lifted up, okay? Na bigyan sila ng mas mataas na position. They just wanted to let the world know also na kaya din nila. Okay? So, kaya din nilang, pwede rin silang maging globally competitive. They can also acquire positions in offices. Diba? So, they can be competitive enough and they should be treated with respect and not discriminated at all. So, bilang mga babae, all right, we would want, since it has been napakatagal na panahon ang in-endure ng mga kababaihan, ng napakatagal na panahon ang sinakripisyo nila just to stay where they are, na kahit gustong-gusto na nilang lumipad, okay, they were very limited. But now that we have different kinds of laws and agencies na nagsusulong or institutions and the world organizations na nagsusulong ng gender equality, okay? So nagkakaroon sila ng voice. Okay, so these are several guidelines that I would like to share with you na kung paano tayo makakaiwas sa gender bias na language. So these are different guidelines that we can use in our practice as future social workers. And I hope that these guidelines will enable you to empower yourselves to keep on using it, o kaya ngayon pa lang at this stage, kahit wag niyong sasabihin na kahit ay nasa first year lang ako, hindi ko pa magagamit ito. No. Because the moment you've decided na nag-enroll ka sa social worker, kahit may doubt pa kayo na hindi kayo sigurado na ito yung course na gusto ko, the moment you start practicing this, or the moment you instill in yourselves itong mga guidelines na ito, your relationship with other people, okay? Hindi lang yung boyfriend-girlfriend relationship ang tinutukoy ko dito ha. So it's your relationship sa iba't ibang klase ng tao na makakasalamuhan ninyo. So yung relationship ninyo sa bawat tao, ang number one na nakaka-apekto dyan is your way of communicating with them. Tama ba? So other than our actions, because sabi nga nila, action speaks louder than words. Pero words can kill a man or can kill a person, di ba? So meron nga tayong kasabihan na nakakamatay ang mga masasamang salita, di ba? So dito pumapasok yung gender sensitive language or gender fair language na tinatawag natin. So in order for us to start exercising, to start practicing, sabi nga nila, practice makes perfect. So practice makes it perfect. Okay? Hindi man natin siya laging the more we use it, the more we get used to it. Kapag tayo'y nandun na as social workers in the field, parang normal na lang yan. It becomes part of our daily language, yung paggamit natin ng mga ito. Okay, number 1. Okay, the use of man as the universal referent for a person or human being reinforces the invisibility of women. So kinakailangan natin, okay, we need to make the females visible. All right? So we replace the word man with person or human being. Okay? So with that, pag sinabi mo person, okay? So, paano natin i-promote? Paano natin ma-promote ang gender Okay, I'm so sorry. Nagwawala na naman si Converge. Okay, wait lang. Share screen. All right. So as I was saying, dati kung nag-attend kayo ng mga kasalan, lagi niyong maririnig yan, man and wife. laging sinasabi ni Father yan, man and wife. Mapa-judge man yan, mapa-civil wedding man yan, mapa-church wedding man yan, we usually hear the term man and wife. Now the church or ang ating mga individuals na nag-i-initiate ng wedding rites, now they are using husband and wife. So parallel, di ba? And another example, okay? Mr. Mark Angeles and his wife Jane, 'di ba? So instead of referring to Jane as only the wife, okay, you acknowledge them, you use the parallel language to acknowledge both of them. So we use the word Mr. Mark and Miss Jane Angeles or Mark and Jane Angeles. So kasi pag ang ginamit nating terminology is yung let's welcome our guest, Mr. Mark Angeles and his wife Jane. O di parang ang pakiramdam ni Jane, sabit lang siya, 'di ba? So if we acknowledge if we become hosts someday, we use the terms or we refer to them as Mr. Mark and Miss Jane Angeles or Mark and Jane Angeles. O, diba? So, para naman confident din, diba? Confident din si Miss Jane Angeles. Okay? So, another guideline for us to promote gender equity is to avoid courtesy titles to refer to women in regard to her relationship to a man. Okay? So, ito pa rin, tuloy natin si Mr. and Mrs. Okay? Or forms of address that portray women as mere appendage of her husband, katulad ni Mrs. Mark Cruz. Okay? So, ang naging pangalan ko na ay Mark Cruz. So, I'm losing my identity. Okay? So, tayo, hosting jobs or hosting opportunities, please try to take note of this. Okay, mga host, please let me know kung napuputol-putol ako, ha? Okay pa ba yung audio ko?
Yes po, ma'am. Okay pa naman po.
Okay. Wait lang, ha? Okay. Konting interruption lang ng konti. Okay pa ba kayong lahat?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you nagkaroon ba ng instances na, let's say for example, tatanungin ko yung mga may asawa, alright? So tatanungin ko yung mga may asawa, nagkaroon ba ng isang occasion na ganito kayo in-address, and how did you feel? Sino yung mga misis muna? Meron bang mga misis na dito? Ay, nahiya sila. Okay? So, pag nag-a-attend kayo ng like functions or gatherings, and people would tend to introduce you like, ito po si Mr. Cruz, at ito po si Mr. John Cruz, ito naman po si Mrs. Cruz. Okay? So hindi man aminin ng mga wives nila, hindi man nila aminin. So nandun yung feeling na ang identity ko will always stick with my husband's identity. So yun yung iniiwasan natin. Hindi naman sa nagrereklamo sila na nakadikit na yung pangalan nila sa husband nila, but that sense of identity of the women, we try to give importance or emphasis. That's why we try to promote gender equity. Okay, number 3. The third guideline in order for us to observe gender fair or gender sensitive language is the order of your words should reflect your stand for gender equality. Okay, for example, always putting men first in such phrases as men and women, boys and girls, he or she, his and hers, male and female, okay? It gives the impression that women are afterthoughts or somehow less important than men. So I'm quoting Mr. Wright. Okay? So usually makikita natin yan sa napakaraming books or descriptions, okay? Ang naging kaugalian sa pagsusulat or sa pagsasalita ay i-prioritize yung men, okay? Or the male counterparts. So, from this moment na nagkaroon tayo ng gender awareness on using gender sensitive languages, a lot of writers, a lot of authors started trying to order their words or started to use series of descriptions or phrases na ini-interchange na nila. Sometimes they put the men first and sometimes they put the women first. Then we have guideline number 4. Okay, do not use words or sentences that have assumptions, hidden or otherwise, about gender. Okay, for example, the social workers and their husbands will be attending the meeting. Sinong nagsabi sa inyo na ang mga social workers puro lang babae, ay puro lang lalaki? I mean, puro lang babae pala. Okay? So, pag ang ginamit nating sentence ay the social workers and their husbands. So, nasan na yung mga kalalakihan nating social workers? Okay? Nasan na yung mga kasama nating social workers? Bakit social workers and their husbands? So, by this sentence alone, it's already implying na ang mga social workers ay puro babae lang. Diba? And then they are with their husbands. So instead of using this phrase or sentence, we replace it with using the words or phrase, the social workers and their spouses. Okay, so the social workers can either be any of the genders and their spouses can either be any of the genders, not referring to any particular or any specific gender, male, female, or our LGBTQA plus community, all right? In other countries, social workers, male social workers are also married with their fellow male, fellow male, diba? Okay, so we cannot assume, all right, we cannot imply na itong particular profession na ito ay limited lang sa babae or sa lalaki. Number 5, guideline. Okay. We should avoid words and phrases that make assumptions about how women behave, such as describing a man as aggressive or assertive, while a woman is strident, shrill, or bitchy. And stereotypical terms and phrases like the better half or just like a man. Okay? So, sino ang nagsabi na women cannot be aggressive, 'di ba? Or assertive? Sino ang makakapagsabi ng a man cannot be bitchy, 'di ba? So, napakaraming characteristics ng isang babae at ng isang lalaki that can be interchanged. Okay, we can be characterized or we can be described by so many words, in so many ways that both men and women and our members of the LGBTQ plus communities can be described the same. Okay, wala tayong specific description na itong particular male na to, itong particular female na to ay ganito. Okay? We don't make assumptions about how women should behave so as how men behave. Okay? Kumbaga pareho 'yan. Okay? So, sa ating mga kalalakihan, please don't get offended kung binibigyan natin ng emphasis ang women sa ating topic since it's Women's Month. And sabi nga nung isang estudyante ko, "Ma'am, bakit walang Men's Month?" 'Di ba? Dahil po ang Men's Month ay it's everyday Men's Month since time immemorial. Okay? So, nagkaroon ng Women's Month in order to let the women shine naman, 'di ba? Kasi since time immemorial, sabi ko nga, bago pa Spanish time, bago pa ng colonization, okay? Ang superiority, the importance sa community natin all over the world was given to men. Okay. All right. So last but not the least, it's in order to promote gender equity, we need to avoid feminine suffixes such as et, s, and tricks. Okay. So because it makes unnecessary reference to the person's sex. It suggests triviality, inferiority of women. So we use the same noun for males and females. So kung mapapansin ninyo, meron tayong example dito. Instead of using the word actress or waitress or hostess, we use the word actor because actor is a generic term referring to both actors and actress. Excuse me. Okay. So with that, I hope these guidelines are able to magkaroon kayo ng direction sa pakikipag-usap ninyo, sa paggamit ninyo ng mga salita, lalong-lalo na hindi exemption yung dialect natin. So each and every one of us, meron tayong mga sarili-sariling dialect, kanya-kanyang dialect or lengguwahe na minsan nagagamit natin siya na hindi natin inakala na nakakasakit pala siya ng damdamin ng ibang tao or it causes gender bias. So that's why ito yung purpose kung bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng lectures na ganito, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga social workers. Okay. Okay, for gender-sensitive language ay ang Commission on Civil Service. So meron tayong CSC Memorandum Circular number 12, a series of 2005. It was issued on March 30, 2005. So dito, it encourages government officials and employees to use non-sexist language in all its official documents, issuances, and communications. Okay, so kung mapapansin ninyo, kung meron kayong mga communications, written communications or announcements coming from Commission of Civil Service Commission, okay, sorry. Makikita ninyo, mapapansin ninyo that they are actually observing gender-sensitive languages in their announcements. Kahit sa mga vacancies, announcement ng mga exams, schedules, try to observe. Okay? Next. Yan. So kung mapapansin ninyo, yung ating woman, she's trying to take all this unnecessary words, this gender bias words out. Okay, so it's a trash that we need to dispose of. Okay, kailangan nating baguhin. Hindi man siya agad-agad, but it can be slowly done. Okay, so key points for this. We should take into consideration that one contributes to gender equality in our everyday use of language. All right. Let us all be sensitive to any discriminatory content of verbal and written communication. Discrimination may be based on age, social class, and gender. It can also be because of their physical ability and other attributes. Please also take note that languages reflects the way we think. Okay? Gaya nung nabanggit ko na earlier. So it also reflects our values, our assumptions. Languages can reinforce gender inequality and stereotyping, or it can be a challenge. Okay, so it can challenge gender biases and promote gender equality. Okay, so yan si language. It can either be a form of challenging. It can challenge gender biases. It promotes gender equality. One contributes in the process of breaking gender inequality, even in the way one uses language in everyday activities. Okay. Let us correct gender biased statements immediately, whether this is oral or written. So, ngayon pa lang na mga estudyante kayo, try to correct. Okay, if you notice that there is some gender bias statements, it might be orally, it might be written. So learn how to break this kind of gender bias statements. All right, so before I end my short lecture, I would just like to give a message to every one of you. Okay, sa ating mga kababaihan, sa mga kababaihan na nakikinig ngayon, continue to empower yourselves. Continue that advocacy that you are pushing towards equality. Continue to be to be competent and be proud of yourselves. Sa ating mga kalalakihan na nakikinig ngayon, continue to be champions of gender equity and gender equality. Because kayo yung number one na makakapagsulong ng gender equality sa ating members ng LGBTQA+ community. Continue to become advocates. Continue to share positivity and continue to give light to each and every individual that you meet. And I hope that yung language, sorry ha, kanina pa kasi ako nagsasalita. Non-stop. So, minute ko na rin kasi yung mga klase ko since 12 o'clock. Okay? So, I hope that as future social workers, gender awareness and gender sensitive language will be one of your tools or equipments that you will be able to utilize once you become full-fledged social worker. But it doesn't necessarily mean na hihintayin nyo muna na maging registered social workers kayo. You can start right now.
Thank you po.
So thank you, ma'am. Just like what Ma'am Leonora said or discussed, it is true that language shapes and reflects how we think, act, and relate to other people. It has the power to reinforce gender stereotypes and equalities, and we must continuously educate ourselves the language to empower and not to demean at anyone regardless of gender. To respect the word, dignity, and rights of all people as we promote inclusivity and gender equality. Partner.
Yes. Gising po bang lahat? Dahil talako na tayo ngayon sa ating Q&A or the question and answer portion.
If you have any questions that you want to ask to our speakers, you can now unmute your mic or to speak or just type away your question in the chat box. The JSOP Secretary, Ms. Villarose Raposas, will read all the questions. Thank you.
So ayan, mukhang wala tayong question dahil mukhang nakinig lahat ng ating mga participants. So hinihiling namin na sana is marami tayong natutunan ngayong araw na to. So yan, so since there are no more questions from you all, let us now proceed to awarding of certificates to our two learning resource speaker for today.
We want to express our deepest gratitude to Ma'am Danica and Ma'am Len for being here with us this afternoon and sharing with us your insights on gender responsive case management. We, your hosts, quite sure that everyone here has learned a lot.
So as a token of appreciation, please receive this certificate, Ma'am Danica and Ma'am Len. Urdaneta City University, College of Human Sciences, Department of Social Work, Junior Association of Social Work, Association of the Philippines, Urdaneta City University. Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Ms. Danica O. Lopez, RSW, for sharing her insight as one of the learning resource speaker during the webinar entitled Gender Responsive Case Management, Gender Matters, held on April 6, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. via Zoom, given the 6th of April, year 2022. Signed by Dr. Norlene Udemenden, the Dean of College of Human Sciences, Gerald A. Aragosa, RSW, MSW, the advisor of JSOP Advisor 2022, and Dr. Josephine S. Lambincho, the OIC Vice President for Academic Affairs.
Next slide, please. This certificate is for Ma'am Len. Ordinata City University, College of Human Sciences, Department of Social Work, Junior Social Workers Association of the Philippines, Ordinata City Chapter. Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Maria Leonora Bustria Muhammad, RSW Juris Doctor, for sharing her insight as one of the learning resource speakers during the webinar entitled Gender Responsive Case Management, Gender Fair Language, held on April 6, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. via Zoom, given the 6th of April, year 2022. Signed by Dr. Norly Dumenden, Dean, College of Human Sciences, Gerald A. Aragosa, RSW, MSW, the JSOP Advisor 2022, and Dr. Josephine Islam Benicio, OIC Vice President for Academic Affairs. And to our audience, the JSWAP UCU members, we also ask all of you to receive this e-certificate for attending this webinar. We will be sending you this e-certificate via your emails, but we will also provide you a physical copy soon. Certificate of Participation is hereby awarded to your name for attending the webinar entitled Gender Responsive Case Management, held on April 6, 2022 from 1:30 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. via Zoom, given this 6th day of April in the year 2022. Signed by Gerald A. Aragosa, RSW, MSW, the JSWAP Advisor 2022, and Marian Angel J. Lorenzo, the JSWAP President 2022. Partner.
And so thank you for all the participants and the resource speaker. And now, to formally end today's webinar, let me call on Ms. Queenie Kubalig, the JSWAP 4th Year Representative, for her closing remarks. Ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon po sa ating lahat. Ayan, nandito po ako sa good afternoon po. Pasensya na po kayo. Nandito po kami sa rescue operation po sa Binalunan. But hindi ko po inayaan na hindi ko po kayo makasama sa hapong ito. First of all, syempre, nais ko pong batiin ng ating team, Dr. Norly Dumenden, sa ating GSWAP Advisor, Sir Professor Gerald A. Aragosa, sa aming field Instruction 2 Field Supervisor, Ma'am Rika Paneda, sa ating mga resource learning speaker po, Ma'am Danica May Lopez at Ma'am Maria Leonora Muhammad, sa ating JSWAP President, Ms. Marian Lorenzo, sa lahat po ng GSWAP officers, lahat po tayo in behalf of JSWAP UCU Chapter, kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa inyo pong lahat, sa inyo pong gininto ang oras upang makinig o makisama, makiisa sa Women's Month Celebration. At ito pong handog ng GSWAP UCU Chapter ay isang webinar patungkol sa Gender Responsive Case Management, ay isa po na talagang kailangan dahil ayaw po natin na patuloy po ang gender bias, lalong-lalo na po o usaping gender bias sa mga kababaihan. Nais po nating ipagpatuloy, sabi nga po ni Ma'am Muhammad, hindi lamang po ito dahil gusto po nating sapawan ang mga kalalakihan, kung hindi bagpos, gusto po nating ma-identify at mabigyan po ng respeto lahat ng ating rights, lahat po ng ating ginagawa, at iniiwasan po natin na tayong pong lahat ay makaranas po ng pag-aabuso. So with that po, mabuhay po ang JSWAP UCU Chapter, mabuhay po ang UCU, mabuhay po ang mga social workers, soon social workers, padayon, manggagawang palipunan. Maraming salamat po. Ito po ang inyong ate, Queenie Rose Cabanlig ng 4th year representative ng GSWAP. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Miss Queenie Cabanlig, for that wonderful closing remarks. Partner, ano na? May event pa ba tayo bukas?
Yes, meron sa mga ating ates. Third year and fourth year po tomorrow for the second day ng ating webinar. And nire-remind din po namin kayo, the attendance is posted on the chat box.
And also, inaanyayahan po namin ang lahat na mag-open ng camera para sa isang photo opportunity.
On cam po.
Tayo ng cam.
Pa-on ng mga cam para makita ang freshness.
Miss Cam, ikaw na lang mag screenshot.
Teka lang, paano ba ito?
Ako na lang, Miss Kemp.
Ay,
Para.
si Miss
Ayan.
President na lang.
Ayan.
Thank you so
Meron po
much,
tayong...
Madam President.
Okay. May 4 slides po tayo. So we encourage everyone po to open their cameras and smile lang po tayo all throughout para makuha po yung smile natin. Ayan. Slide 1. Smile na po tayo. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sa slide 2 na po. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Slide 3. Wait, hintayin natin nag-open ng camera yung iba. Okay. Smile. Last slide na po. Smile po. 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Thank you po. Once again, yung attendance form and evaluation nasa ating chat box po para ma-record po yung inyong attendance para po may e-certificate po tayo na ibibigay po.
Okay, so congratulations once again to our learning resources speakers. And palakpakan natin sila virtual. Wala tayong virtual na palakpak dito. Ay, meron. Ayan.
Thank you
And
po.
of course, congratulations again for a job well done sa committee and sa JSWAP. No? And tomorrow, tuloy-tuloy po ang ating activity, especially third years and fourth years. So thank you and have a safe day, everyone.